Okay, hello everyone. We're just waiting to let everybody in. I see we've got most of you coming in now. That's great. Well, welcome. It's 1 minute to 9. I see we've got a few more people coming in. Let's just admit them in here. That's great. That's great. We are lucky and very fortunate to have Joe and Ali from 3/4 Design. They're going to show off some of their latest creations, as well as give us some overall ideas and techniques of working with the 3/4 Design. I think they're from New Zealand, those of you who don't know, but I think I've mentioned that a few times that we're here from New Zealand and that they're going to show us some wonderful techniques from 3/4. And it's early afternoon, I believe, for you tomorrow, and it's evening time for us on the East Coast. It's 9 p.m. on the dot, and it's 6 p.m. on the West Coast. So, so good afternoon to you guys, and good evening to everybody else here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to spotlight Joe and Ali. They're going to go through it all. I've talked enough in the last couple of times about the 3/4. Let's hear it from the experts and the designers, and we'll let them take it away. And I'll just, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. I'll be looking at them. I'm sure Joe and Ali will also see them. So don't be afraid to speak up. We're here to learn and here to understand the product more, so that everybody can get the idea and how we can promote it into our customers' hands. So I'm going to just turn it over to Joe and Ali, and I'll just spotlight you here. Spotlight for everyone. There we go. And I guess you're good to go.
Hi.
Wonderful. Hi.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for coming to watch what we got today. First of all, I'm Joe, and this is Ali.
Okay.
Ali's my eldest daughter, and we work 3/4 Designs. First of all, I want to apologize for anyone who came last week and we weren't there. We actually had the time slightly wrong. We did do a bit of a Google search. It turns out that you've got to ask different ways because you get different results. So Dennis and I have been chatting today, keeping up with what time it is there and what time it is here. So I'm very glad to say we are here today. So 3/4 Designs, obviously, this is our baby and we love the products. We've been working really hard with Dennis and a few other retailers in Canada and having a chat about where we can take 3/4 Designs to make sure we're hitting your market. We want to make sure that as retailers, you get the best out of us that you can. As we are retailers ourselves, we understand the stresses and the problems that are associated with having a store. Also, you can understand the costs of getting this to the other side of the world is ridiculous. We've tried everything to get the price down and we just simply can't. So we've been looking at different ways that we can help with the freight bills, and hopefully by February we're going to have some really cool plans.
I'm very excited.
So we've got lots of new products coming in February. We actually don't do a release in January. We're on holiday and we're actually having 2 weeks off, which is rather nice. But we will have lots of new products and quite a few changes actually for 3/4. So looking forward to sharing that with you. In the meantime, what I really want to do is give you a free class because I know what it's like. I'm struggling for time and I'm like, I've got a shop, and we actually run 7 businesses out of here. And you can imagine one of those is a full store. It's crazy at times and we have no spare time. So what we try and do is come up with ideas for you that we've taught in our classes and that go really well, and then hopefully you can share them and use the product as well. The first thing I did want to do is to show you, yeah, we're just going to do a quick flick around. Hopefully that's going to work. All right, so the first thing I did want to talk about is the new die cutting. It is much easier to push down. So if you are selling this, just tell people to, oh, this is a faulty one that we didn't send to anybody. That's why. Just press it down and you'll find that it, trust me to get a couple of faulty bits. Yeah. That's why we didn't send it, because we could tell it was faulty, so we didn't do it. So if you are using the new die cuts, just press them down and look at that. You actually, if you do rip, like I have done that one, the good news is it'll just come off, but it is by pushing it down. If you push up, most of the time, oh, that is definitely a faulty one here. Yeah. It went out of line. If you press up, you do sometimes get it fine, but I do find down is the better option. Okie dokie, so that's just the die cutting. So that is in all the new packs of 12 by 12s. We are trying to get it in the card packs as well. And we are looking at the MPS sheets, so which is the mini project sheets, which I'm going to talk about soon. All right, so a few years ago, I made this particular project, and this was where you actually cut out a book. And it was fantastic. But my husband said to me, if you think I'm going to cut that for a class, you're very much mistaken, because it took him ages to cut all the hollow part out. So I tried to work out another way to do it, and I ended up designing this particular little project. And this was, this is about 8 years ago now, so it's quite an old little project. So what I wanted to do today was turn it into a 3/4 version and for Christmas. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I grabbed the teacher's pack. Now, if you haven't used the teacher's backpack, talk to Dennis about it, because it is really cool. Sometimes buying a whole pack is just not financial. So you don't make money on it because you're trying to do a whole pack and you're splitting it, and you've got to do 2 classes to make it viable. So what I wanted to do was make these teacher packs. And I took 3 papers and we did 3 offcuts, which I have started to cut up already for the class. And you get chipboard. Now, as of next year, you won't be getting the chipboard in these packs. In fact, there'll be no chipboard in any of the packs. We're changing everything. So this teacher's pack, the idea is that you've got enough here to do layouts, you've got enough to do cards, all sorts of things. What I've done here is I've done this mini album. Well, actually, it's what I call a hollow book. I'm not really sure if it's got another name overseas, but I just find it nice and easy as a hollow book. And then I took another teacher's pack and I made a card. So again, you can take the same principles, and I will show you the difference between those out of a teacher pack. And the good news is this doesn't even use a whole teacher's pack, so it's quite good. So a little something I started earlier. So I've taken this particular paper and I have turned it over, right? Yep. And what I've done is I've looked for the imagery and I want that particular piece there. And so I've turned it over and I've glued this particular piece on. I then am going to grab my trusty glue and I'm going to leave a gap. Now, that gap there, some of you are in inches and some of you are in centimeters. So what I've done is I've done 15 centimeters down and 12 centimeters across. If you're in inches, it's 4 3/4 across and 5 3/4 down. Now, the good thing about this, you can do any measurements you want at all. If you want to get it out of 2, the inside and the outside out of 1 piece of paper, the best thing is to go relatively half. So 15 for me is close to half, or 6 inches if you're into the inches. So I've done that, nice and simple. This part is a little bit tricky and I'm going to try and explain why. The spine needs to be as high as the depth that you want your book to be. If you want your book to be higher, you need to make a bigger spine. If you want it to be lower, again, you put less in there. So I'll sort of explain that a little bit more soon. So I've now stuck that on and I've got enough room that when I fold up, there's going to be plenty of give in that particular piece. Right, then I'm just going to get the next piece, which is identical to the first one. And I'm going to stick that in there. So now I've made a basic book. If you're a book person, you know that that's how you make your very basic spine in a book. I'm then going to cheat and just, normally I would ruler this properly, and I'm just going to quickly, hopefully see that I did a straight line.
Yeah, she's going quite quickly so we can get through everything, and you guys will obviously have a replay to watch.
Dennis said he's videoing this for you. So, and then you can just bend up and bend up. And there's your basic book. I've still got the strip on here. So now I'm just going to take that strip off. All right, and there's your basic. If you're just going to make a normal book with a binding system, that would be how you would do it anyway. Now I'm still only using one piece of paper. So now what I can do is I can actually do exactly the same thing, and I'm going to glue. Now I always glue this in parts. I don't, I'm looking for where I want the flowers. So I'm going to go, so this is the top of that paper and I'm putting it down the bottom here. I always glue just the one piece and make sure I've got that on properly. And then I like to just fold that bottom one up so that it starts, and you can actually score that all properly to get it all nicely folded. And that one, and again, I'm just going to fold it up. I'm not doing my best job here, guys. Normally I would take a little bit more time. And finally, the last one. All right. And flip her over and take any, don't throw those away. And I'm just taking off any extra. And where I went as crooked as a dog's hind leg. That's all right. There we go. And this is what happens when you do it in a hurry. I'm just going to lift that one. There we go. All right. All right. So you've basically made yourself a basic book, and I'm going to let that just dry because I'm moving it a bit too fast while it's wet. All right. Now here comes the fun part. So what you do is you're going to cut yourself a few strips, and you want about 12 of the big ones and 10 of the little ones. And these are just chipboard as well. You can use paper, but the trouble with paper is it's going to take you forever. So in chipboard, it's actually quite quick. And you're going to just glue.
How big are these, Jo?
Exactly the same height. So whatever height you've used, that's exactly the same height that you're going to do. And I've glued it and I've put it down there.
And they're what, like a half an inch wide?
I actually wrote that down. I don't know. I shall check that actually. You can do whatever size you want, but the wider you do it, the less room you have inside for doing your little bits. So it's 1.5 centimeters or, oh goodness, inches. Okay, it's just slightly over half an inch. So there's your half inch. So just slightly over half inch. All right. So there's your first two pieces on. And then you will go through and you will put a dot. You don't want to go too much. And you're going to start with this one. Now, this is where it's important to be as level as you can when you're doing it. You want your edges to be nice and straight. Oh, I already put glue on there. I was too organized. And you would go like that.
So you want to do both your bottom layer first and then you add your tier on top.
Yeah, and so it's just under, over, and then the next two would go. You can see that one. Mm-hmm. So it's nice and simple. And in fact, Jess has done this for me. She's pre-done it all. She has gone and built them all up so that we can just stick it straight on the top there. Now, this is where you check your height, you see. Now, if you have a look at that, it's a bit, so here's the school line here. It's pretty much a bit low, and I've really mucked that up when I did it in a hurry, but that's all right. So it's actually not sitting as high as I would like it. I would like it quite level. So I'm actually just going to go and put a couple more. It's really hard to guesstimate how many that you will do because it does depend on your spine, how big you want to do that. So I've just gone a little bit higher and now I'm going to put that on. See how close that is. That's a whole heap better. All right, so you would keep going with that design, except I need to have an across one first. All right, so now I'm just going to go and put this one on. Now, the idea is that you're making this hollow book. So we've tried to make the pages look like pages of a book. I'm just trying to hold that down for a sec. And you could, if you're into mixed media and you like waxes and things like that, you can actually go through and wax all the edge of your book. So here's an original book, and you can see that they have this nice gold on their book. So I basically tried to mimic that with chipboard. And you can see the pages under here that I haven't colored and the ones that I got Jess to paint for me, just to make sure that that was all good. So then we come up and that's sitting a heap better. I could probably go a little bit higher. You'll notice that the candle is upside down. I did know that, that's fine. And that is basically your hollow book. And then from there, there's a couple of things you can choose to do. You can use these leftover scraps that you had, and you can actually cover that instead of, I've used the white paint. So you can just cut some little slithers and you've got a nice little frame on here. And that just brings the whole story together. Now, the reason that I painted it in this case is sometimes the brown chipboard can look a little bit yuck. And sometimes it's nice just to have that nice white crisp look that pages would have. But as I said, you can ink those, you can do whatever you like to do that. So then, you know, and the thing is with all these scraps, they're just little slithers left over from things. It's not like, you know, they're not wasted. You don't have to cut up a 12 by 12 sheet. If you use chipboard for other things, it's great to use all these little scraps up. And I tend to have quite a few of those sitting around. And I've just done this in a class of 80 people at the same time. And we had a lot of fun, and I just used up so much scraps, and they were stoked that they got this book, and it actually didn't cost me very much at all, which is great. I really wish I didn't have a little lump there, because that's really just driving me a little bit crazy. But anyway, I'm just going to push that up so it looks all nice there. All right, so that's that part. Now, why do we do it with these gaps? Well, the good thing it's still not quite dry. The thing with these gaps is that you can poke and get depth of field. So if you have a look at that, I've actually layered where I put all the different little bits. So sometimes I put them down the bottom, sometimes I put them up the top. By doing that, you can actually get some really good depth. So what we did do there is we grabbed the tag from out of here, which was a nice, easy, great, Joe, you forgot the scissors. I'm just going to, oh, there we go. I should have some on my desk. Oh, there's the other ones if you want. I'm not going to sit and cut all those little stamp edges out, because quite honestly, that would just do my head in. So I'm just quickly, oops, let me get that one very straight. So that's one of your offcuts, and I'm just going to put that in the middle to give you.
Joe's not the most patient crafter, in case you haven't realised.
I sort of am.
She just likes to get things done. She doesn't tend to cut edges out super straight or anything like that. She's like, oh, about that.
The design elements. Design elements is how this works for me. All right. Now you have got your poinsettias that I pre-cut earlier. And you can look at them and go, well, actually, if you put that in there, it's just going to be too big. But this is where the little hollow parts are quite cool, because you can take and just cut. I might just go across there. And when you put them in, you can lose some of the design into there. So can you sort of see that I've put it in about there? And you can get all these different depths. I better actually just glue that in place, which would be quite handy. All right, so I'm just going to start with putting the tag in the middle that says Merry Christmas. And the idea is that you can get this, give this to a friend, or you can put a voucher inside it. So I've just put a little bit of glue on that now, and I'm just deciding where I want to put it. And boom, you can just push it down, and it's now, you're not using your foam tape. What did Dennis call that the other day? You guys used like silicone or foam dots or something like that. can't think what he called that. What do you call that, Dennis? Can you type that up for me so I remember?
Yep, it's a foam tabs.
Oh, foam tabs, that's what you called it, that's right. So yeah, instead of doing foam tabs, which is only going to give you one height, this one can give you lots of heights. And you can do the other piece as well. And so you can have, from one flower, we've got two different layers. So I've put that one in at a different height. And again, so you've got your big ones, you can chop it right down, and I can say, well, I can put that right in the corner. Looking where I can cut it. I might go right in the corner up here, and I might have a little play. Can I make it twist it enough? And that's a good thing because you've got two edges. So you can see you can actually, now that's actually covering that Merry Christmas, which I don't really like. So I'm just going to keep moving it. There we go. That's a bit better. Hopefully you can see all the depth that's starting to come up there. And you can just keep going and adding all your little bits and pieces. And so if you have a look at this one now, we've got heaps. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little poinsettias going on there, plus around here. And this was just off the sheet here. So you can just grab something off there. You can put express delivery, whatever you want there. And as I said, you've got your edges here that you can colour if you want. If you're going to do it white, you definitely need a couple of coats. Jess has just done a quick coat for me to give you the idea. And I've got this white sharp. I would definitely change that to have it nice and pretty. I'm going to just try and guesstimate because... Right, I think it looks just a little bit better.
Wasn't a bad guess, Joe, at all. That was pretty good, actually.
Usually eye things. And we don't really need straight lines, do we?
We don't really, she doesn't really even measure either. So,
all right, so there's your first couple. Then you can cut out your quote here. If you're into inking, please ink everything. I do like to do that quite a lot. I love inking, getting rid of that white core, but...
Oh, we're glad you love this project. Thank you.
And there we go. You can just put that up there, and then you can have a look and see what you can find. Oh, look, that fits just in there. And we've only used one piece of paper. So one piece of paper and some scraps of chipboard. All right, and there's your book already done. And if we go over here, this is where I've got this tag from. And I've still got some poinsettias left, which I put on the front cover with the North Pole one. And mostly because I didn't have any string at home, I just threw a rose on there to cover it. And I've got a flower here. If you were doing this, there's no reason you couldn't take those flowers and put beads and things to try and on-sell extra product, all right? So this extra product, I mean, that's how we make our money, right? If you were to ink all the edges of these, cut them and ink them and sell ink as well, anything you can get as an extra sale is obviously awesome. I've put the flowers on there, but there's no reason you couldn't make your own flowers if you wanted to as well. Remembering I've only used one piece of paper out of a teacher's pack.
And one offcut.
And one offcut at the moment, 2 offcuts. So I did use all of this. I didn't use the blue one on here. So I thought to myself, well, here's the chipboard, and I've just colored that. I've just gone and put a little bit of red and silver on the little boot. And then I've done the bow on there, and I've kept it pretty simple. You know, you could emboss that. People said they don't know what to do with chipboard, but chipboard, you can, honestly, it's one of my favorite products. You can paint it, you can spray it. If you're going to spray it, I do recommend that you put a layer of gesso or white paint down first. The reason for that is that because it's so porous, it just will take the color and just drinks it. Dilution sprays, if you've got those, I don't like them at all on it. I'd much rather use a distress oxide or a stain or something like that, or put your white down first. And that just means the colors are so much brighter. And I think for Christmas, we do need brighter rather than dull. So I would definitely either use an acrylic paint or on these. If you want to spray them, give them a white coat first with the gesso.
Can you please explain the teachers' packs? Are they meant to be used just for the teacher or for students as well?
Oh, no, they're definitely for students. So the idea of a teacher's pack is I've been finding a lot of retailers, their customer base is getting smaller and smaller, especially with COVID. People didn't want to come to classes. So the idea of the teacher pack, sorry, Alice just dumped my phone in my hand. The idea with the teacher pack is that you buy the pack is in sets of 5. So my thought is 1 for you, 4 for other people. Now, if you've got 10 people in your class, then obviously you need 2 packs if one of them's you. If you've got 15 people, then buy 3 packs, and it just keeps going up from there. The idea that it's called Teacher's Pack is pure and simple that, here we go. The teacher's pack is that these are not for sale because they don't necessarily have our name on them. So we don't want them sold without our name on them. That's just one of the important things.
So this is the sticker that comes on the front of a teacher's pack. So it says not for resale. It is for you guys as tutors or teachers to use to create your projects. And then here you've got, there's 3 papers, 3 offcuts and matching chipboard, but there's 5 copies of that in the pack. So 5 kits, 1 for a teacher and then 4 students. If you brought multiple packs, you obviously have more students than 4 in your class, but it's nice and easy.
But at the same time, if you want to make kits up, that's perfectly fine. Make a kit up with
It doesn't have to
Wonderland.
just be a class.
It's not a class necessarily. The idea was just that it's not for you to sell to a customer. It is for you to help you to make some things.
And not have to feel like you have to buy a whole pack of something because, you know, the collections get way more expensive than, you know, buying a teacher pack. Yeah.
And I did speak to someone in Canada the other day, and the price point on these work out quite good. And I think she said for a card class, or that she could cut these up for, is to be less than $20. So if you can do that and have your pack, and you don't have to go and find the embellishments. So you don't have to go and buy a $10 pack of embellishments and paper and everything else. The idea, it's all here for you, and you can just use it to make whatever kits and classes that you want to do. All right, so going back to this one, I've used the extra poinsettias on here, and I have put them on the front cover. So it is nice and simple to do that. So that's that version of it. So from the leftover, I was like, okay, let's make a card. So this is from another page in the pack. What I did was to have a look. Now my cutter at home was just eating paper, so you'll have to forgive me. What I did on this is I made it out of paper, but I cut up a whole sheet to make all those little layers instead of chipboard. So that was using that offcut there. I used that to make all my layers. I did exactly the same technique. I've only glued in the 4 corners, and I've used this piece of paper. Now I still had to cut it in half because the top is one piece and then the inside I had to glue to the back. So I just glued it on there and I made one design. Obviously I've used most of the offcuts, so I wasn't able to decorate it up, but I just wanted to show you that if you're a card maker, now I've made this, I think I did it in your 4x6 design. Nope, I did 5.5, just over 5.5 by 4 inches. And in centimeters, I've done it as 10 centimeters by 14. So yeah, it's just about. So, and I've done that as a card. Now you do have your height here, and you have to decide your height first of all. So if you have an envelope allowance, which we do here, you're only allowed to go X height for your card thickness, then you would do that first of all to make sure before you started building it up. But again, by building it up, you can still make your 3D picture. I just want to go back to this one here that I made years ago. And if you have a look, this one here, it's quite handy. I've actually done a decoupage picture. What do you guys call them? Paper towel. Yeah, so we've done paper towel in this one as well. We've put a little bit of lace on the edges. We've got, we've actually put a proper little lamp in there, and we've put the little, what the heck, a dream catcher. Yeah, and then we've put some more chipboard on here, and then to really go outside the square, we actually did the little gates. And you can build this up as much as you want to. It's totally, I've done a 12 by 12 book like this. And that was very cool. And you can, yeah, I've actually put muslin in this one to hide the edges. This was when I was, we used to work on a design team. And this is a really long time ago since I've made this. And you can see you can do whatever you want, and you can build it as much as you want, or you can keep it a little bit cheaper. Right. So the next teacher's pack is this one here, and this is called
Christmas Wonderland.
You notice we have to check with Ellie what it's called.
Joe likes to make up the names of the packs. I design the packs and I create the names, and then Joe tends to change the names. And so often here when we're packing, she'll be like, oh, can you please go and pack Christmas Magic? And I'm like, well, that's 2 packs combined. Which one do you want, Joe? Do you want Merry Magic or Christmas Wonderland?
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
I told her she needs to let me name the products, and we wouldn't have this issue. All right, so I've done exactly the same thing. I've made this one a little bit bigger. I've done this one as a 5-inch by just short of 6 inches. So when I did this one, once again, I've made sure I can get 2 from one sheet of paper. My score line here is very little. It's under 1/2 inch. It's probably about 1/4 inch. No, it's not. It's under 1/2 inch, but it's more than 1/4 inch. And I know I'm supposed to count all those little lines, but that's a little bit hard.
Inches is not our normal
measurements. Yeah. All right. So what I've done is taken another teacher's pack, and once again, I've done exactly the same thing. I've cut the paper, and I've gone and scored it to give myself a small spine, and then I've built it up. But instead of using printed paper, I just cut a whole heap of plain white paper. And again, I've kept it quite thin. Sorry, thin as in this way. The thicker you go, the less room you have to be able. So what I do is I actually don't pre-cut these. I tend to put them on and then cut. I'm not really sure why in paper, but I think my measurements seem to be a little bit crazy in paper.
Again, she doesn't like measuring stuff.
No, I don't. So I tend to make more mistakes. So whereas the chipboard, I get someone else to cut it on the guillotine. Right, so it's on there, and then you would come over here and do this side, and then from the leftover piece, you could do that one, and then that one. So I just start with a nice pile of scraps, and I'm sure when you're cutting up kits and collections, you have these left over. Don't throw them out because they make fantastic little hollow cards, hollow books. So this one, again, is from the teacher's pack, and again, I've only used 1 piece of paper. And unfortunately, we don't have one of those made here for you, but you can see again that there's quite a few layers on this one. I'm just going to try and count that one.
Michelle said, I think we must be related. I hate measuring things.
You and I are going to get on just fine, Michelle. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it looks about 12 again. So if you stuck to that, had that ready, but again, you want it to sit flat. You don't want it to be all, sunken. Sunk actually looks a bit, it's probably could do with 1 more on this when I did it originally, just to keep it nice and flat. Now you could go, if you want to make some more money, which let's face it, we all do, you know, those Tim Holtz clasps, you could click in there and clip it onto the front, and then you have to unhook it. You can do this, you can do book corners. You could do all sorts of things on here to make it worth a heap more if you want. So you could do the class and say it's X amount of dollars. But if you would like, I have book corners, I have this, I have that. I've gone and put these locks, Tim Holtz locks on here. I've put clocks hands. I don't even know where I got that one from. I've got old Prima resin, I've got chipboard, I've got one of those little things, flowers, you know. So you can go through and make this as expensive as you want, or you and I both know one piece of paper and some scraps, a little bit of flowers if you want. I didn't even really need to put them in, but I did put that on. And again, that's a teacher's pack, one piece of paper and one off cup. So from a 3-pack, there is no reason, but you've still got these 2 left over. So you can make that and then make it again out of this, and then use the other piece, cut this all up and use these flowers to build up your layers on your pack as much as you want to do. All right, so you don't have to go and do as much as I did. You can, like I said, if you don't want to cut up another whole piece, you don't have to. So if you did that out of there and that out of that one, and then cut all that up, and you've already used that, and then you've still got a few little bits and pieces in here out of your teacher's pack, you've actually made 3 projects. So you might have an off the page class, a card class, and who knows what you're going to do with that leftover bits and pieces. All right, so that is making that project. If you've got any questions on those,
Still a good little.
yeah, like I said, just try to get 2 out of 1 pack and use your own measurements to make it however you want. You don't have to do it out of chipboard. You can do it out of paper, and it's nice and light. We just, yeah, like having a play. And as I said, anything that uses up scraps, let's face it, has got to be a good thing, right? And we get rid of all those little bits and pieces. I did put a little strip of paper in here just to hide that the score lines, just because I like it a little bit. But you do have to make sure you measure it properly, because otherwise it does bend when you fold it. All right.
So beautiful, Jo. So beautiful. Well done.
All right. So the next thing, are we going all right for time? Like,
It's 36 minutes, so you're doing pretty well.
oh, I talked that long already. Okay, so then what I wanted to do was to show you from the MPS sheets, and guess who forgot to grab the samples? So I'm not going to do a tutorial on this one. It's just nice and simple, because I do want to answer any questions if you've got them. But what I wanted to do was show you that mini project sheets. Now, we are hoping in the long run, what we'll do is we might do full Christmas ones, die cut in a bag. And yeah, that's where the cost comes in. As soon as we have to bag them, I've got staff having to do that. If we have to die cut it, it's going to take time. But it will mean that your customers don't have to necessarily cut all the fussy cutting out. I mean, we do try not to have too much on a sheet, but
Too difficult. We try and keep
too difficult. Although Ellie doesn't actually try to cut that deer's head out, because quite
He's
honestly,
very cute though. I had to have him on there. He was so adorable.
yes, but no one understands, like us fussy cutters, how hard that is. All right, so what I wanted to do was to take the 2 mini project sheets this month and quickly just make 2 different cards. So I just took a basic, I think it's a 4x6 card, and I cut the piece from here, this piece here, and I just put it on the front. Please don't look at how crooked that is, because I can see right now that I did a really good job. And I got an extra white piece of card here, and all I did was just made it a little bit longer, put a score, and I folded over so that it would just flap there. So I put that on, and then I didn't quite have enough paper, so I just cut the leftover green strips. And hopefully you can see that. I cut the tree out. Yes, I sat and cut the deer out. I put the poinsettia on there. And then inside here, I put the North Pole. I put the leaves and the flowers on there, the jingle bells. And then inside the cup, I put the Christmas brings joy and that sort of thing. So that's for the card makers out there. You can take these MPS sheets and, as I said, make really easy little cards out of them.
Nice and inexpensive. So good little price
it's
point.
1 sheet and a little bit of card, and you've made that up. So it is just a little fold that I do layer those up quite a lot. I've done one with 6.
And that's just tucked underneath.
Yeah,
that
it's just
green.
a little piece under the green just to hold it, so it's a card on top of a card. And then I did the same thing again, except I went a little bit bigger, and with this one because I wanted to get this one here pretty much. And I did take a little bit off because otherwise it was just going to be too big. But again, you can see the score line there. It's just a little bit tucked in under there. I think it's to about there. And it just folds. So it's a card on top of another card. So if you have a look, there's the blue. There's the white flower. You've got your candy cane, wonderful time. The blue poinsettia is there. And then you lift it up. There's the tag that I've used, the presents, the snow globe, the gingerbread man, and that. So you don't have to use these as tags. These can actually be cards very easily. I actually just whip those up which really easily. So, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of time on that, but you still can have really good results from one sheet. So if you can promote their MPS sheets, yes, you do have to cut them yourselves. As I said, in time, hopefully we'll look at die cutting and try and get you some bigger sales rather than smaller sales. So we're also looking at putting some 6x6s in, 8x8s in the collection. And we're hoping to do a special set of cards that will be 6 times 6x4 cards. And we're working on that at the moment, and that will be all in one pack, and hopefully you have some die cuts, and that'll make it easy for your card makers as well. All right, does anyone have any questions for me? Because really hard questions would be good.
I love the idea. I haven't had any luck getting rolling with them. I appreciate you showing us that.
That's cool. And if you want us to do anything extra in classes and stuff, quite happy to do all of that anytime.
I think the key with really selling them is to have samples.
Yeah.
And we know it is hard, but that's why the teachers packs are great, and that's why, you know, these being not a huge cost are great, because it definitely helps. We do have a retailer's Facebook page.
Yep.
I think Dennis has it, but if not, we'll send another link to him and he can send it out to you guys too. We have a retailer page for examples kits.
Yep.
The design team's projects can go on there as well. Plus, obviously, all the design team projects go on our normal Facebook page as well.
And we have a marketing person starting in about 4 weeks. She's just coming to join us soon. And once she joins us, then hopefully we're going to be able to do a lot more marketing and a lot more specialized posts. But we also want to do more specialized posts for you guys in that retailers page so that you can get lots of help and support. And if you need something, hey, what can I do with this? It's not a problem for us to try and make you something. Sometimes I don't necessarily have a lot of time. As you can imagine, running Imagine If is our actual store, and then Imagine If Creative Studios is our graphic design. Then we have 3/4 designs, which is obviously our paper selection. And some days, boy, do we just push.
Plus, there's a couple of other businesses we won't go over.
A few more we won't even worry about. So yeah, we certainly know what the issues are, but if you have suggestions, please tell us, because we are here to help. We want you selling 3/4 designs. I'm coming over to, where am I going?
April.
Canada. Canada. I'm trying to think, where am I going?
We're
Wherever
going to-
Dennis
We're going to be
is, I'm going.
Columbus. We're going to the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, I'm coming to see the bears and something else when I come over there. And
We're going to be at Creativation.
we are going to be at Creative
In Ohio.
Dennis. So we're hoping to catch up with heaps of you then. And yeah, we can talk about anything that you might like and what we can do to help, because we are here to help you, because what helps you helps us as well. But as I said, we are retailers and we do know where the problems are. So let us know.
Yeah. And you're obviously welcome to use, you know, these projects that Joe's just done.
Yeah, just
as classes. Like, you can just use them. Don't.
And if you do, just share them with us so that we can, if you don't want us to make them public, that's not a problem. If you want to teach them first and then share them, that's cool. Just do whatever. And show us what you did with them, because it's really cool for us to see other ideas. Obviously, I'm trying to make them easy enough to do in a short time frame, but if it's a 2-hour class, you can do it as a 2-hour class.
Brooke said, my customers tend to struggle with kits that just have inspiration, as they struggle with looking at the sample and then turning it into reality.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit hard, but Joe does try to keep everything as simple as possible with the collections and layouts and things on the
Yeah,
back of the.
it is a tricky one, but if we sit and do instructions, and by the time I write them all up, and then by the time Ellie has to do them all up properly, the timeline, it's just ridiculous. And then we'd have to put more on the costs, which we just don't want to have to do. So the idea is, whereas everyone else sort of doesn't do that, we've tried to put you a starting point. So sell it more as a starting point. Hey, I've been to classes where places where we have 80 people come to an event that I run, and they've all got the packs in front of them, and they go, oh, it's so good because it's just somewhere to start. So promote it as more of a place to start as opposed to copying mine exactly. Start with one piece. Oh, I can see where that is, and get that piece done, and then sort of go, oh, I know where that's from, and then just build it from there. I know I've seen people go, oh, I can't do kits. I can't follow instructions. I cannot follow instructions. I'm not very good at it. I tend to do everything just freehand. If I see something online, I'll just mimic it from from just looking at it rather than actually following instructions, because I find it quite difficult. So I would be more trying to.
It's that whole lack of measurement thing.
Yeah, I don't really like that. Honestly, I would try and sell it that way. And we've definitely found that people are saying it's good because they want to do their own thing. But by doing the 3/4 and starting with what I've done on the back, then they tend to go off on their own tangent, and that makes them quite proud of themselves, which I think is a really good way to promote it to your customer, that you can start to follow, but you can do your own thing with your own stuff at home. And I think if you can sell it that way, as opposed to, oh, you have to try and work out what she's done. You don't have to. You can just go, oh, she's put this up in the corner. Oh, this goes down here. Oh, I can see a square here. Let's just cut a square and let's see where we go. The amount of times I've seen people with the same product and they end up doing quite different things, which is really good, because, just copying someone can be a little bit, boring at times, can't it? I must admit.
And obviously you can add your own embellishments, and the customers can choose their own bits and pieces, and that alone can make such a massive difference to how the end result looks as well.
Definitely.
It's really cool. What is our timeline on our card packs being die cut?
Well, the person behind the camera is a little slow. I don't know what she does with her day. We are trying. We have had a few issues with the die cutting, which put us behind schedule right from the word go, mainly because we didn't realize we'd broken a blade on the first week, and it just wouldn't cut anything. And it was just making a mess, and we got stressed. And so
I wasted probably close to 200 sheets of paper.
Oh, what a
trying to get it to work.
And we finally called the technician in, and he drove for an hour and a half, and he got here, and we basically sat down, and he said, right, I'm off. And we were like, what do you mean you're off? You've just got here. And he said, yep, it was a broken blade.
30 seconds, problem solved.
Yeah, so we felt a bit stupid, but we've now got that. We understand how all that works now. And so now that we've got the paper underway, the card packs will be next, and hopefully we'll have them out
aiming for
by February.
February, March will be the first of the die cut card packs. Yeah.
So everything will come with the die cut. In the long run, it's just us making sure we can fit it all into. It's actually quite a lot of time. It's not a die cutting machine that goes, like your Sizzix and that. It's not like that. It actually cuts around everything. It's just a giant version. And the problem with that is we're looking at 2 minutes 40 per page. So you can imagine when we're doing 100, that's a lot of time out of our day just to do one order. So we're definitely onto it. We just got to get it streamlined a little bit more.
Yeah. There any other questions? There's nothing else that's popped up just yet.
Well, I think everybody really likes the 3/4 because it allows, like you mentioned before, that it's so creative. And I think all of us want to be able to have that first step taken a little bit for us, like what background or what should I do? But like you said, once they get going with it, it becomes fun, because that's where the creative aspect of crafting is all about. It's being kind of creative on your own level, and everybody is at a different level. But I do believe that if I can create, I don't want to copy yours, Joe. I want to make my own. At least then I can say, hey, I made this, and I think everybody has that self-gratification. And that's the nice thing about 3/4 that really brings it out.
That
Yeah.
was definitely one of the inspirations, was trying to create something that is achievable for all levels.
That's
you
right.
know?
And also, I think if we're not careful, we're going to take away people's creativity if they only can copy. You get to a point, I've noticed people more and more don't seem to be able to come up with ideas on their own anymore, and yet we have so much more access to imagery and stuff than we've ever had, and yet we seem to have lost the ability to come up with thoughts on our own. I myself, if I've gone to a class, and I have done a few classes with some big names, and I must admit, while I was in their class, I was changing it to do my own thing using their techniques. And I felt so much better coming out of the class with me rather than with their design. Like, their design was cool that I wanted to do the class, but I still wanted it to be me. And I didn't want it to be, to be theirs. I didn't want to bring their work home and put it up on my wall and go, oh, that's so-and-so's work. I actually wanted it to be my work. And I think this is where 3/4 gives you that ability for it to be your work. And the same with all the tutors and store owners. You can take this book, and to be quite honest, you could go and do it out of the brand new Meadow, what is that pack called?
Meadow bouquet.
Meadow bouquet, or umbrella. What is
Umbrella weather.
Umbrella.
See, Joe's really bad at remembering the names of the packs.
We've got Underwater Magic and Umbrella Weather, and it just does my head in. So you could take those packs and turn that in for a little girls class in the school holidays. Make one of those. Little kids can make these easy. You could do that with them and put the little girl with her umbrella and make a really cool project all on your own using the teacher's pack. Same theory with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we have all the teachers pack for all the collections since we've introduced. So they are available, and we can always get more, of course, with our next orders too. So
definitely.
Yeah, and so we do have the December packs available. They're up for pre-order. Of course, we don't release those to December 1st, but we can definitely ship them out to the stores to have on hand at that time.
And the sooner you get them, the sooner you can make a sample up, which,
and have them ready to go for the first. You can't show your customers, but you have them ready to go, and boom, straight away, you got your class ready.
Yeah, and then of course, like you say, we don't have anything for January, so this is also a great, December, January. Plus, we still have the calendars. We didn't really touch on the calendars.
Oh, the calendars. Yeah, the calendars. Actually, I should grab all those samples. I'll go and grab them.
We might as well do a little bit of quick calendar time.
Sure.
While we have you, we've got
a few more minutes. Yeah, let's kind of round it up around 10 o'clock. That's a wonderful hour of 3/4, and yeah, I'd love to see some calendar.
Yeah, it's very late for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, for some of us. Some of us it's just early evening, but others it's the day starts early tomorrow again.
Yeah. Joe's found them all.
Oh, that's great. I know I kind of put you on the spot there with the calendar.
No, that's okay. Okay, so with the calendar, you get.
Should we find an actual calendar?
Yeah.
Hold the phone.
Sure, make me hold the phone. Okay, so this is one card I made from the. I haven't got my glasses on. That is not a good thing. Okay, so with this one here, I've just done a basic little card. So it's just got the two sides there, and I've used the Mia Moore paper from the pack and with a few little flowers on it. So that's a nice, easy little card there. She's trying to find a calendar. From the Artist Within, I made a little mini book. So that's only one piece of paper again, and I basically did all of that, just nice little squares, and that's just using the calendar. So these are all on the back of the calendar. I did the little deer card. Yeah, that's a good idea. You hold it. So I just did the little Christmas card with the deer again. See, it's hard to cut them. Hard to cut those all out. This one, I just did a little standing card. And we have this one. So again, I've used all my own bits. There's nothing too fancy about all of those. Then for the scrapbookers, I did the botany page. I did urban turquoise, winter, underwater magic,
Yes, well done.
grimoire, alchemist grimoire, imagine if, and family heirloom.
Right.
So that was all made from the calendar. So if you haven't seen the calendar, you need to grab one of these great Christmas presents. The person can use the front cover. It's a 30 by 30 page. It's all ready to go. Then you've got January, February, March. And the good thing is on the 1st, we've gone and put the date of the 3/4 release.
Just to remind you, you know, when all your customers, there's a new pack out.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and then here's your mats. These are all your photo mats, or they can be layering for your cards or whatever you need. Here's all your, yes, you do have to fussy cut, and no, we're not die
No,
cutting
these ones
this.
are not die cut.
We can't protect them if we die cut them. That's in here as well. So there is no waste, absolutely no waste. Oh, that hasn't got the samples on the back.
Good one, Ellie.
Okay. So normally that would have a page of samples on the back, and we
Has
just,
the photographs of all of these.
so again, it's a starting point. So it's a good, as I said, it's a good Christmas present, but even as tutors, you can, you know, say who wants to sign up for coming for a year, and you, every week you use a different, every month you do a different one, once a month's over. So you start in February and you still go to January the following year. So you could do it that way, or you could do a challenge. You could say to all your customers, if you buy this thing, you're in for the challenge, and maybe one of you will win a prize for the best design over the year, and you've got all year to make different ones from those packs. There's lots of ways you can make money out of this calendar by doing add-ons as well, and
Make it fun and interactive for your customers.
get them spending, and the more we can get them spending, obviously the happier, you know, as retailers we all are. And we found these go really, really well. We haven't put any dates on it for any country in particular. We've only put Christmas Day. Did we put Easter on?
I can't remember. I tried to keep it very neutral.
Yeah, so we tried to make sure that
I tried to pick some stuff that doesn't get moved by country. That's our birthday. That's our 3/4 birthday. Oh yes, Easter is on there.
Okay.
Yeah, Easter and Christmas and New Year's. I think that was it.
We kept it neutral.
Basic
and-
holidays.
Yeah, basic ones. And of course, you've got places to write on the side. So if you want to write anything in here, you could actually, you know, you can actually scrapbook on there and cut it out and put it on your page if you're you know, because it's all acid free.
So
we've
it's the
kept
same
it-
paper that we use for our normal collections. So it's all, yeah.
And what we're hoping to do is we have been asked to do that as a 6x6, so we may do that as a 6x6 or an 8x8 next year as well, but not this year.
Right. Well, that's a good idea.
All right.
Well, I think that's about it
Yeah.
from us. Any other last questions for Joe?
That we're all good.
Yeah.
And that must be your bedtime.
Just about.
Self-employment, eh? Don't
Yeah.
get to go to bed and finish job at 5 o'clock, do we?
No, then it's you know, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I start hearing my phone a little bit from the overseas customers as well from Europe. So
Oh yeah, like Joe. No, he rang me the other morning at 5 a.m. Not the
yeah,
other
by
way around.
accident. By accident.
Awesome.
Well, it's been a great evening to spend and learn more about 3/4. We certainly appreciate the time, Joe, Ali. We really thank you for the samples and the understanding of everything, and hopefully we can do it again sometime, and we always look forward to
definitely.
seeing the new projects. And we will, you and I, of course, and Ally will be in touch and going over some new ideas for the up and coming 2023. Hard to believe we're moving into that
Yep.
time frame
How
already.
This year's been just so fast, so fast. We don't
Exactly.
realize what the date is. We try to stay so far ahead. Like we've just, but we're just in the process of doing February stuff now, and it's crazy to think that we've got to get this away soon. It just, it disappears. Time just flies.
It certainly does. Well, we wish you a great
Oh.
afternoon, evening, and I would like to
Thank
thank
you.
all of our watchers
thank you for
and
coming.
explorers that participated. It's fantastic that we have had, I think at the time we had about 19 different stores watching, so it's fantastic.
Awesome.
That's
We
great.
will-
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got this tape, so we'll get that posted for everybody, and anybody and everybody can watch it. So
Awesome.
thank you again, ladies. Appreciate it, and we'll
Thank
be in touch
No worries.
again soon.
Awesome.
Thanks. See ya. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye-bye, guys. Thank you.